Hello ladies and gentlemen, I'm Krasi, and this video will be again about Uranus. We can speak forever about Uranus, and he certainly deserves our attention. Now I will give special attention to the 12 ascendants. We will be looking at the 12 ascendants after the entrance of Uranus in sidereal Taurus, where he will be staying 7 years. On 18th of June, Uranus is entering Taurus, and he will be there 7 years, and this is sidereal Taurus. So we also will analyze the Uranus-Jupiter conjunction. This is also very important conjunction. Last time such conjunction occurred, this was in 2010 April to 2011 March. We will be seeing historically which were the events which this particular very important, powerful conjunction provoked. So first of all, Uranus. Uranus, I will very quickly remind to you, if you like, look at my, just 2 videos before. I spoke about Uranus, the mythological story, because there are so many secrets and so much information encoded in the mythological stories of every culture almost. So Uranus was discovered in 1781, and I was March by William Herschel. He was the first planet which was discovered with a telescope. So you can see already, the others were discovered with naked eye. So you can see already involvement of technology, which pretty much has to do with the nature of Uranus. I noticed that when Uranus was discovered, he was in Gemini, he was not in Aquarius, which he is ruling. And also I noticed that he had very friendly trine with Venus, and Saturn was making opposition. Only this, when we look at this, we already know, and this is, the beginning of every cycle, and this is the birth, the first appearance, symbolically. Of course, Uranus was always there on the sky. Of course, the ancients knew about Uranus, but we still have symbolic rebirth, if you want, of Uranus. So this is new birth for Uranus. Therefore, knowing the Hermetic rule that the beginning of every cycle is describing the whole cycle, we already have information from the mythology, but now also from the first horoscope of the discovery of Uranus. We already know he is friendly with Venus, and he is not very friendly indeed with Saturn, and this we know. We know, of course, that Saturn now is in sidereal Aquarius, and we know that there is common rulership between Uranus and Saturn over Aquarius. So the old ruler, of course, before Uranus was discovered, was Saturn, and according to the ancient astrology, he remains ruler. What are they sharing? This is also very important information. What are they sharing? Well, if Uranus is the new, Uranus is representing the future era of Aquarius, but Saturn is the structure. Still, he is the structure of Aquarius. So whether they're friendly, whether they're sharing friendly the sign of Aquarius, I still believe that from higher perspective, everything is harmonious and everything is as it should be. So what happened actually, briefly, we will make an overview because this is important. Why is it so important? I will tell you. We will look at Uranus after his discovery, which were the main historical events which occurred. Then we'll be looking at Uranus-Jupiter conjunction, what happened during the last Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. Only after that we look at the 12 ascendants. This is because when we understand the nature of Uranus, what he will bring, then we already know what to do in order to avoid these harmonious influences of the planet. And I will tell you, the most important knowledge actually is that he is ruling the sky. He is all about the sky. He is asking us to look at the sky, to watch the sky. So we can already do that, because you know it is very, very simple that when we learn certain lesson while we are here experiencing Earth and every event on Earth, so when we learn certain lesson, the universe will not repeat it to us, will not give it to us again. Therefore, before his entrance in Taurus, we already need to know what to do, because like I told you last time, wherever he enters, he starts the change immediately, and we cannot look at him as whether he is dignified, whether he is fallen, whether he is detriment. This is the big boss coming, really. I told you his hierarchy is very high, he's the sky. So he enters Taurus. Yes, at first sight you say he has no rulership over Taurus, he's neither fallen, he's peregrine, none of this he is. He is well everywhere. Wherever he enters, be it Aquarius, be it Taurus, because of his big, important hierarchy, high level of hierarchy, he just can enter and make the changes. That he immediately enters as a ruler, as a king. This is certainly what I noticed so far from from my readings, seeing horoscopes of people, events, and so on and so forth. So this is why, very interestingly, I noticed that after 1781, after Uranus entered, was discovered, excuse me, by accident or not, this doesn't really matter. Major events followed. One of them was the Great French Revolution. Yes, the revolution happened after a couple of years later, but we are talking about a change of ruling system, change of social systems. So he really brought big changes on Earth after his discovery, or rediscovery, so to say. So you see, in 1781 we have the American Revolutionary War. This is major event. After that we have Battle of Yorktown, seems to be very, very very important. After that we have actually so many are the battles that makes no sense really to name them all, and this happened after 1781, after the discovery of Uranus, which was followed up later on by the French Revolution in 1789. And what are the results? This is more important, because you know the energy of Uranus, which is energy of freedom. So major results, political and social changes, I told you, and it is the after the French Revolution, the absolute monarchy, the monarchy was abandoned, and then the role of the church in the country was also totally changed and diminished, and also the feudal social system and the privileged aristocrats and church servants, all this was denied after the discovery of Uranus. Of course, none of this happened immediately. As you know, he's very slow. He stays in one sign 7 years. So you see, he's very drastic, and this happened when he was discovered or rediscovered indeed in Gemini. And now to see something more recent. Last we'll be talking about the Uranus-Jupiter conjunction. The last conjunction took place in 2010 April, and then until March 2011, and these are very specific and very interesting events. So before we look at the historical overview of events, this year on 21st of April there will be the first exact conjunction between Uranus and Jupiter in the very last degrees of Aries, and the Sun will be in the same sign. This is 27 degrees of Aries. These degrees are considered not good. These are the back parts of the animal, of the celestial realm. These degrees are really not good. However, I like the fact that there are no specific afflictions of this conjunction, but you can see it is happening in a section of Aries, in a Egyptian term, Hermetic term, which is ruled by Saturn. You know that the Saturn in Aries is certainly not happy, and yes, the degrees are not good, and the sign Aries is very, very warlike, fiery. And in the meantime, while both of them are meeting, we have what is called mutual reception, exchanged places of Uranus and Mars. So Uranus is in Aries, in the house of Mars, and Mars is in Aquarius, in the sign of Aries. So we have mutual reception. This is friendly aspects between the two. I like that. This seems to be harmonious. It will not give, this particular conjunction can even be benevolent, and most probably will not exhibit the lowest vibration of the exchange of energy of Jupiter, Uranus, and this particular sextile with Mars, who in the meantime is in Aquarius. So I don't see really this conjunction as bad thing. And moreover, we have the historical events, which I will list to you now. There were so many, very interesting. I will not list all of them absolutely, but the main ones. So first, what happened? Of course, Uranus is all about the sky, space exploration, NASA to visit an asteroid. President Obama announced its proposal to cancel the funding for NASA, so changes, and we know how parasitic NASA is, and we know whom NASA is serving. So see, already there we had some sort of good development. So some of the rights of NASA back then were cut. So changes in the programs of NASA. SpaceX, first commercially operated spacecraft to replace shuttle. Russia and China and Iran launched space tests, which previously they didn't do. Kepler exoplanetary mission was also launched. And now about computers. Information. Now these are things which I'm not very technical, I don't understand what, but we see new programs, but we see the iPad was launched, that the iPad, which is still in use. So this was in April of 2010. Then the smartphones were introduced after Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. I will not go into detail. The genetics, cloning, see, the UK Food Standard Agency announces that the meat from the offspring of a cloned cow was eaten. You see, back when all this started, you know, the cloned meat and genetically modified food back then. Then we have the stem cells, which were used for replacement applications, you know, of organs, heart, liver, kidney. Stem cells, genetics were introduced to help people. Well, we also know that the side effects of this. Applications on shoulder, knee replacements, you know, the stem cells for muscle, for brain, and for nerve system. Then we have gene therapy, synthetic DNA. All these very evil, extreme things were introduced after this conjunction, because this was happening in August of 2010. Something useful happened probably in the treatment of Alzheimer's and the Parkinson's diseases, applying this technology, Uranian technology. But of course, in the meantime, the dangers of all this were discussed. Then we have genetically modified cocoa, cacao, apple. You see, it goes radiation, Al-Qaeda, the organization, was seeking nuclear material. How true this is, we know who created Al-Qaeda after all. So I'm just mentioning what I found to be happening, to have had happened during this particular time period after Jupiter Uranus conjunction. Then you know how they participated in the so-called achieving nuclear-free Middle East. You know that this was also set up. It was also happening after this conjunction immediately. May of 2010, new start of treaty by Russian Parliament, which was related to this for President. Yeah, this is their forever argument, you know, between Russia and NATO, and you see the results now. Fukushima nuclear disaster, worst since Chernobyl, February 2011. See, this is Jupiter Uranus conjunction, Uranus nuclear. Few hydrogen powered cars and taxis. See how interesting. Mass produced electric car, first time. This is also after this conjunction. Robotics, a big development. I'm not going to go into details. Nanotechnology, November 6, 2010, the UK scientists demonstrate for the first time nanotechnology, nano metamaterial, nano processors, and nano many things they announced back then after Jupiter-Uranus conjunction. Many things, you see. Then also this is okay, there's so many things. So you see the main the main influence of Jupiter-Uranus conjunction was many new discoveries, very technological, robotics, nano, and yes, you see Fukushima, the Fukushima tragedy happened then. What is this saying? What is now the situation of when is Uranus meeting Jupiter in the last degrees of Aries? Back then, in 2010, they met in Pisces. Therefore, when they meet in Pisces, and you know, this is Jupiter is very strong in Pisces, luckily back then, and you can imagine Pisces is the house, the 12th house of the zodiac, the natural 12th house of the zodiac. It concerns the whole humanity, also the bad karma, of course, of people. It concerns health. Therefore, this you saw the stem cells technology was discovered then. Now the focus will be slightly different because they meet in Aries. The focus will be also very technological. You know, Aries ruled by Mars. Also, you know that Jupiter has certain powers in Aries, and the focus, of course, what I'm thinking the most of is the exchanged positions between Mars and Uranus, and in the meantime Mars will be visible and conjoined with Saturn. So this will be big. It will have to do with structures. Absolutely, this time the changes will not be so much about nano robotics. The changes will be structural, major. They will be structural because they will have to do, of course, again with technology, war technology, because this is the nature of Aries. I hope that my thoughts are not correct, but the Fukushima story reminded me of similar risk now, of radiation risks or reactors, and you know, this is of course risk which is quite possible. So also let's not forget that Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, so it is all about new beginnings, like very new things, new cycles, new beginnings. So it may be also related to technology, to new martial technology, new work technology. This could be the positive, part of this. Later on, conjunction is taking place in the last degrees of Aries. Then first Jupiter is leaving Aries on 4th of May and he's entering Taurus. After him, Uranus is leaving Aries and is entering Taurus, and they will meet again in Taurus later on. But now, more important indeed is to look at this new cycle of Uranus into Taurus, and luckily Jupiter will already be there to soften a little bit the atmosphere. And now we will be looking at the 12 ascendants, mainly on how Uranus in Taurus will be influencing each of the 12 ascendants, of each one of us. And this is important because Uranus will not leave us without changes. Remember, in April of 2017, when he entered Aries, Uranus, he entered Aries, and try to remember where Aries is, in your horoscope. Try to remember what changes Uranus brought into your lives. He certainly introduced changes to you. There is no way that he didn't. And remember, he is all about the sky, all to remind us of who we are, where are we coming from. It is about our divine nature. Yes, his other side is technology, the new innovation. You see Fukushima, you saw this nanotechnology, sky explorations, NASA stuff. Yes, you see when he was discovered, the whole social system was changed of the entire planet. We are facing similar situation. There will be change in the social system of the world, and this has already started after the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction, Saturn-Pluto conjunction, and now we are having Uranus-Jupiter conjunction and this big change of Uranus entering Taurus, who in the meantime until December of 2025 will be squared, even wide square, not exact square, but still this is square by sign, exists as powerful aspect in the ancient astrology. So Uranus will be squared by Saturn, and this is big. This is like a recipe for change. In the meantime, Rahu, Ketu, are on the axis of Pisces, Virgo. All 5 eclipses of this year are happening on the axis of Pisces, Rahu. Pisces is the sign of the people, of the collective karma, if you want, the bad karma. So year 2024 will be very interesting with all these details that I just listed to you. This will be one step further into the the launching of the new social system of the world, which will be very different from this capitalistic social system that we know so far. It will be very, very different, very technological. In a sense, it will be Uranian. It will involve the collective energy, but still on a very considering the power of Saturn on physical level, on the physical field, it will not be that collective. Maybe the collective social system will be seen mainly through media, through internet, but the collective, like boundaries or borders of the different countries falling, and then the countries connecting, I don't think so. Like global thing, I don't think so. But the technology will be introduced more and more, and many new discoveries will be made. Unfortunately, the bad side of the Uranian energy into Taurus could be to the food to be affected in this nano GMO, modified manner, which none of us like, food shortages, bad influence on food, poisoning on food. Oh, this is very possible because Uranus will be in Taurus, and as you know, Taurus is the natural second house of the zodiac, directly related to food. Yes, money too. Yes, this will have to do also with the changes in the financial system, which will be a little bit more enforced due to the presence of Saturn into Aquarius in the meantime, who will be making a square to Uranus and Jupiter in Taurus. So this will be big. The changes will be taking place on many levels. We shouldn't be sad or afraid, because if this is allowed to happen, if planets are making these particular placements and aspects, it is the best what can happen actually to us. How to benefit from this? By understanding and really taking the high vibrations of this, all this, which is, you know, the Uranus high vibrations, I told you about them. Sky, who we really are, our connection with the planet, with the nature. Remember in the previous video about the mythological story about Uranus got Anu and Ki, the earth. I told you that Uranus cannot exist actually without the earth. So our connection with earth and the sky is basically our remedy. Not really getting into technologies. You see, in 2010 the iPad was discovered, the smartphones were introduced, the first electric car. All what we see now stayed since from 2010 to until now. So everything which Uranus introduces stays because of his very powerful, high hierarchical and high positioned influence and energy. So saying this, I hope this introduction was a little bit useful for you. Now we'll be looking at the 12 ascendants. As usual, we start with sidereal perspective of people who have sidereal ascendant Aries or moon in Aries, or if you're following tropical modern astrology, this would be Taurus. If you don't know at what time you're born, then we can derive your horoscope always from the moon sign. This is also quite useful. So let's start. So people who have sidereal ascendant Aries or moon in Aries or modern tropical Taurus. Now for you, Uranus will be for 7 years after 18th of June on your second house. This is very important. He will certainly bring to you changes related to your finances, or somehow he can be related to your family members, family roots. He may draw your attention there if you have unsolved matters, unsolved disputes, anything, but he will mainly have influence on your finances. And in the meantime, of course, like I mentioned, he is aspected by Saturn from your 11th house. Yes, this shows big changes financially. Also, you may need already from the beginning of his cycle for the next 7 years, you may need to be more attentive with children, because this axis of 11th, 5th houses where Saturn in the meantime will be, is related to also to children. And now people who have sidereal ascendant Taurus, for you, see, your sign actually is very, very directly influenced by Uranus, because he's basically entering your ascendant to be there 7 years, and this is from 18th of June. And also this is also for people who have tropical Gemini ascendant or sidereal Taurus. Now for you, this is major, big for you, for your personal ideas. Of course, it is very important to see how Uranus is placed in your horoscopes, how Saturn is placed. But in general, he will influence your personal choices, plans. You may opt to make big shift in your work, in your occupation, in your interests, in many things. Suddenly, it depends where Uranus is, you can become very interested in astrology or in technology, you know, with Uranus entering your ascendant. Of course, this is energy which is influencing also your seventh house. Seventh house is the place of your partnerships, of your relationship, of your marriage. He may test your marriage. This is very possible. So it is up to you how you play your cards, but you certainly may experience his energy testing your patience, your marriage. Yes, he may have influence on your career, because in the meantime Saturn will be also aspecting your ascendant, especially in the beginning of the cycle until December of 2025. So certainly this will be very, very important for you. In terms of decisions, in terms of plans, interest, career, basically everything, because the ascendant is the house of life. So many new ideas, goals, plans will be entering your life. And now we look at people who have sidereal ascendant Gemini or moon in Gemini, and if you're following the tropical astrology, this will be Cancer. Now for you, Uranus is entering your 12th house. 12th house in astrology, yes, the whole horoscope, like we said, is very karmic. The 12th house even more. This is the house of bad karma, the house of the secret, the hidden. This particular placement of Uranus may bring many, you see, may make you interested in esoteric hidden knowledge. Could be that you opt for leaving your country and living abroad, because the 12th house is related to this as well. Could be that you experience activation of some hidden enemies, and then you find a way to overpower them. Very possibly this will be related also to health. Now don't worry, Uranus is something which, you know, in the beginning he can bring some possible disharmony, but then you have the tools to solve this. Of course, depends how the planet is positioned in your horoscope. Certainly this will be amazing enlightenment, knowledge, because of the aspect of Saturn from your 9th house. So this is complex, multi-layered, related to your very karmic 12th house, related to health. Could be that you suddenly become very interested in health as subject, you know, because of the nature of the 12th house. Of course, depends which of all these options is more dominant in your horoscope, and then we will know exactly how Uranus will influence you. And now we look at people who have sidereal ascendant Cancer or moon in Cancer, or if you're following the modern tropical astrology, this will be Leo. Now for you, Uranus is entering your 11th house. Not bad. 11th house in astrology is the house of the good spirit, house of gains, house of money, children, hope, social circle, house of your connections also. This may be influenced, very possibly will be influenced. Finances will be influenced, because Saturn also aspects, your 11th house. Your communication with children may be influenced, so you may need to be more attentive with children in the meantime. But very possibly your profession, your career will be influenced by the presence of Uranus in your 11th house for the next 7 years. Very important will be, you see, because remember, before that, Jupiter-Uranus conjunction would be on the place of your career. So yes, this will have serious, important, moderating influence on your occupation, could be that you make big shifts in your interests, in your career. It will be very much about career changes for you and financial changes automatically. And now we look at people who have sidereal ascendant Leo or moon in Leo, or if you're following the modern tropical astrology, this would be Virgo. Of course, for Leo people, this is interesting. You know, Uranus entering Taurus, this is automatically squaring their ascendant. So this, in the meantime, Saturn also will be in their 7th house. So we are talking about very drastic, very sudden impact on their careers, on their occupation, on their interest in goals, but mainly it will be about their career choices. Could be that they really experience big major career changes. This also will mean that they may need to watch out for their relationships, because Uranus in Taurus may test their relationships, because he will be squared by Saturn, who in the meantime will be in their 7th house. So it will be big for them too. So it will have to do with their finances, you know, finances, career, relationship. These places will be very, very much influenced, and I see their occupation and career as mostly influenced by Uranus in Taurus. And now we look at people who have sidereal ascendant Virgo or moon in Virgo, or if you're following tropical astrology, this is Libra. For you, Uranus will be on your 9th house, good, house of the guru, fine, trine in the ascendant, very good. This is like, depends how Uranus is sitting in your horoscope, but this can introduce you to astrology, to new philosophy, to new study, totally like another page, big shift in your philosophical educational interests. Like you may choose something totally different to learn, to study. So it will be really major in this sense. Also, of course, in the meantime, Saturn will be on your 7th house, so this will have impact on your routine, on your everyday work. A little bit also watch out for your health, because there is a little bit of tension created between Saturn and Uranus, coming from your 6th house. And now we look at people who have Libra ascendant or moon in Libra, or if you're following the modern tropical astrology, this would be Scorpio. Now for you, Uranus is entering your 8th house. 8th house in astrology is about the secrets, is about you know, extremes, mysticism. Yes, of course, it is about the finances that your partner is making. It is about finances which you generate via partnership. It is house which has so many deep meanings, and Uranus is entering there. And also this can bring resolution in many financial matters. For example, will bring changes in your finances, but mainly it will be about the mystics, the secret, the mystic, the also a little bit health wise. You may need to be more careful. Already support your immune system, be a little bit more careful. This may bring changes to the money and the finances of your partner, like very much. You can see that happening, or the finances of that you generate via partnerships, or money that you expect to receive from insurance, inheritance, unexpected sources that some of them we will not even be able to name. But it will be a lot about money, and yes, the mysterious. It can be part of your awakening, can disturb a little bit your sleep, but meditate, do spiritual practices, watch the sky, and you will be well. And now we look at people who have sidereal ascendant Scorpio or moon in Scorpio, and if you're following the modern tropical astrology, this is Sagittarius. Uranus enters your 7th house. I can tell you previously, when Uranus entered Aries, I was very carefully analyzing people whose 7th house was ruled by Aries, and I noticed that many of them experienced changes in their romantic lives. But I can tell you, Uranus, when he introduces love, he's not very romantic, so we have to be very careful when he's introducing love into our lives. Could be something very Uranian, very modern, non-traditional, and also I also noticed that he's really testing the relationships of people. Some got separated or divorced, other didn't. So it really depends on you how you play your cards and how Uranus and Saturn are placed in your horoscope. So yes, at first level, on first level, he will test your relationship very much seriously, almost immediately. He can bring tension into your romantic life, so you may need to be very, well, patient, intuitive, wise too. Also, of course, he may bring new partnerships, business-wise, new businesses into your life, new deals, new partnerships, this also very much, but the details can be seen in your personal horoscope, of course. Now we look at people who have sidereal ascendant Sagittarius or moon in Sagittarius, or if you're following the modern tropical astrology, this would be Capricorn. For you, Uranus is entering your 6th house. 6th house is the house, which is related to health, to your routine, domestic animals. You may suddenly decide to take animals, or but speaking on a little bit more serious level, it is house of health. Uranus there can change your approach to health, how you perceive health, your understanding. You may suddenly become very interested in health. A little bit, of course, there is a risk for your own health, so you may need to already to meditate, to support your immune system in order to be well, to be fine. But also Uranus can make you change totally your interests, your activities. Like if before in your routine you would prefer to organize your days with this particular occupation, after June you may opt for something totally different. Like you can totally change. You can say, I used to love doing this and now I will be doing totally different thing. Uranus can really bring upside down your routine, your everyday schedule, and so. Also watch out, in the beginning he may create certain disputes with people, this eventual disharmony. And now we look at people who have sidereal ascendant Capricorn or moon in Capricorn, or if you're following the modern tropical astrology, this is Aquarius. Now for you, Uranus is entering your 5th house, the house of the good fortune. Very good. When he enters your 5th house, the changes that he will introduce will be related to creative knowledge, to talented work. You may suddenly say, I feel I'm talented in drawing, or I have my talent in singing, but I never did anything about this. Now I will go for it. Or you may say, I'm going to study something that I really loved, but I never did. Now I will study astrology, or now I'm going to study something else. But it is very much about study, creativity. Yes, 5th house is house of pleasure. So Uranus can bring new interests, also new, love relationships. But again, keep in mind, he's not very romantic. Remember, he was castrated in all these mythological stories which I listed to you in the previous video. So this could be Uranian types of relationships, fast and not romantic, and maybe only not having really the romantic part. So this you have to keep in mind. But in terms of creativity, talented work, he can be brilliant, really can bring you something new, or something that you are revisiting after he enters Taurus. And now we look at people who have sidereal ascendant Aquarius or moon in Aquarius, or if you're following modern tropical astrology, this is Pisces. For you, this will be interesting. He's related to your ascendant and he's entering Taurus, your 4th house. This is always very strong. As a result, he can bring changes in your fourth house, property. You can bring your work at home, your business at home. You can start dealing with property, or simply do something for your own property, or renovate, or suddenly become very interested in real estate stuff. Fourth house will be seriously emphasized. Your interest will go into the fourth house. Of course, parents can be a little bit influenced. This is axis of parents, so they may need to be, of course, a little bit, health wise. You may need to be a little bit more attentive with them. But in general, it will be very, very powerful in terms of also career wise, because this is axis for career and home. There you may also have the influence of Uranus, who may bring certain changes in your occupation, in your career, or career interests, and so on. And now we're looking at the last Pisces. Now Uranus for you enters your third house, related to education, study, spirituality, courage, some say as well, communication with brothers and sisters. Oh, this can be, influenced by Uranus, like your communication. You can opt for different means of communication. You can say I want to travel and visit other countries which I never visited before. You can say I want to study something new. In general, the axis of third and ninth houses, where Uranus actually will be, is good, is benevolent. So I don't see you really having problems with his presence there. But of course, he will be squared by Saturn from the 12th. So yes, a little bit watch for health matters, but in general, this will be very much related to knowledge, to spirituality, to travel. There you may have big changes. If your work is involving education or commerce, or teaching, travel, this will be influenced. This will be absolutely changed. You may opt for totally different ways of communicating, or travel, or education, or different studies. All this will be very much influenced by Uranus. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm finishing here. Hope was useful. This was useful for you. I think I might make, I'm still researching, Uranus from the perspective of the master being Seduno, who gave to us amazing knowledge. He came to introduce us the world. He was born in Bulgaria, but he was significant for the world. So he came to introduce to us the era of Aquarius. So he had very special work with Uranus, very special analysis. I'm planning to make a third video on Uranus, only based on the amazing knowledge which the Master being Seduno was so generous, and we were so blessed to receive. So, well, what to say more? I'm finishing this video now, and see you very soon with hopefully third part, which I'm preparing already. All the best to you.